even though we're all sitting up here formal. With that, if there's an emergency, please exit to your left, take the stairs and not the elevator. And with that, Michelle, why don't we go right into the first case?
Thank you, Bernie. First case on the agenda is a sketch plan conference, case number PB 2025.10.01. McMahon LaRue Associates acting as agent for Shumway Marine for sketch plan conference for the proposed development of a recreational vehicle campground in self-storage units on premises 50 Marina Drive in the River Harbor District.
Good evening.
Good evening, Greg McMahon from McMahon LaRue. As Michelle mentioned, I'm representing Shumway Marine and Ontario Properties. They are in the early stages of proposing the construction of some storage buildings. The storage buildings would be similar to self-storage buildings, but only on a larger scale for boat owners that want winter storage for their boats in enclosed and private spaces. And also incorporating with that would be a RV, Class A type RV summer campground between two of the storage buildings. We've shown on our sketch plan approximately 30 units. They would all be served by water, sewer, and electrical, and would be rented on a seasonal basis the same way the boat slips in the marina are rented. The purposes of coming to you tonight to bring this forward was to basically get some feedback, some opinions, because in order to move this project ahead, this, as you may be aware, is a brownfield, and there are many steps we need to take with environmental consultants and the DEC to move this project ahead, and it requires a significant amount of investment. There's testing that needs to be done, reports and so forth, and it was our intent to get some feedback from the planning board on this concept.
Okay. With that, I guess I'll just open it up for general questions from the board. I do have one. Is this
Sure.
going to be open to the public? Anybody can rent, or only the people that have the storage units or have boats?
Oh, no, as far as the storage units go, they would be rented to anyone who wanted to store a boat. They're going to be the typical storage unit's going to be 50 feet deep and about 25 feet wide. A fairly good size power boat could be stored. If someone wanted to store, had an RV and they wanted to winter store their RV in one of these units, they could certainly do that. They're not intended to be, they're currently, you see some of these, especially we've done several projects in Wayne County where the similar buildings are built and they're leased out to contractors who use them as contractor shops, plumbers, storing materials. These would be not for that purpose. They're to serve primarily marina customers, but I don't think it's limited necessarily to marina customers. There may be people that keep their boats at the Rochester Yacht Club that want a storage space off-season, and these would certainly be available for rental. Similar to how you might rent a 20 by 20 self-storage unit for excess furniture and things like that. They would just be equipped with electric. They're not heated. There are no utilities like water or sewer provided to them.
And what about the RV? Is that just gonna be for people with boats, or the same
No.
thing, open to anybody?
Open-ended. Or maybe many of those are, maybe boat owners, that want, that have an RV and would like to be, during the summer months, be in a location close to their boats to utilize them. But it's not, strictly limited. I'm sure as the project moves along, there will be draft leases, and I think certainly at a future date, those leases could be made available for the planning board to review. Very similar, I'm sure, to the leases that a boat owner signs every year in order to dock their boat at one of the marina slips for the season.
And then, are you planning on paving this whole area, or what's the plan? With the parking, and where the RVs are going,
Bernie, can I just
yeah.
hop on to that? Can you just go over this
I
site
was gonna-
plan
Yeah, I was just heading that
with
way,
us
too.
real quickly, and then tell us where you're at in the process, especially with the DEC? Thanks.
There, okay. This, do I need, do you want to, the location?
paper in front of us, so why don't you just go over what you're trying to
All right, we're in the, it would be the northeastern corner of the property. It's if you've been down there, it borders what used to be the New York Central Railroad on one side. It's now, the railroad is gone. And an area where Shumway Marine currently stores boats during the wintertime. It's directly opposite their basin where a majority, where all the slips are located. We have closest to the basin is a storage building that's shaded on there. Then at the rear, or at the eastern side of that property, there's another similar storage building. And between the two storage buildings are 2 rows of RV camping spots where an RV would pull in, the utilities would be provided, and they would, have the ability to hook into water, sewer, and electric, and leave their RV. There's additional parking proposed at the front of the most westerly building, and certainly the parking areas are going to be paved. I don't think we've gotten to the point of determining if the roads around the RV sites and the storage buildings would be paved or stone. More than likely, the pads where the RVs will be parked would be concrete. And where we are with the DEC, there have been some preliminary discussions. I know I spoke. Unfortunately, Skip Shumway had to be out of town. Had to leave this morning to be out of town. But on Friday, DEC was on the site, and he just spoke to them in the field about this, and they appeared to be encouraged with the uses. Certainly the storage buildings with no habitation are not a problem. They would typically be vented, similar to how if you built a home in an area with high radon, you'd vent the home. They thought that the RV sites were very desirable, mainly because the RVs are up on wheels and there's an air movement underneath the RVs. So, their concern are the landfill. As you know, that was a former landfill, and any vapors. But in order to proceed with the DEC, we have an environmental engineer that's been working on the site. We've been working with an environmental attorney, and there's a whole process that would have to happen with the DEC. And if this looks to be a viable project, that process would get kicked off. We want to make sure that we can address all of the DEC requirements, and then those would be incorporated into site plans that we would come back to the planning board with, and seek site plan approval. Yeah, that's what we're proposing now, is that you would come all the way down the current access to the north end of the site, and you would come up and access the camping spots and the upper storage building. The lower storage building, or the most westerly storage building, would be somewhat on level with the existing parking spots that are there right now. Yes. Right. Well, now, right now, with what we're proposing to add, we're in the neighborhood of 150 spots. There's about, right now, there's approximately 100 parking spots. We'd be adding another row of spots there. And the additional parking would be mainly for the people that had campsites. We're not providing parking up where their RVs would be parked. If they have automobiles or they have guests, they would park down here in the parking lot and walk up to it. So we're adding, right now our plan shows adding about 50 parking spots. Yes, and again, this is a sketch plan. A lot of this will be fine-tuned. We certainly don't want to add any more parking than we need, but in putting this plan together, that's what we were able to. Right. Yes, all the lighting, everything shown other than the buildings and the camping are all existing features. No. It would all be managed by Shumway Marine, Ontario Properties, who is the landowner, but Shumway Marine, the same way they manage all of the slips in their basin. Yes, definitely. Yes, sir. Yes, definitely, yes. Yeah, I would. I guess I don't want to commit to. I would assume. I don't want to assume. Typically,
sure.
typically they are, but if I think if someone wanted to leave there, winterize it and leave it there for the winter, that may be something that the owners would entertain. But I think it's a little early to.
So then seasonal just means they can't use it, is what you're saying, basically.
Yeah, they're not for winter habitation. They're seasonal. They're.
So it could be another storage area, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
Pardon me?
It could be storage. You know,
You mean they could?
they could store their fifth wheel there over the winter.
If that was their desire, that's possible. I can't commit the owner. I think as we move forward,
More details.
we require the owner to provide, and I would want to talk to him and ask some of these questions so we can answer your questions.
How much grading do you guys anticipate doing?
there will be grading for the most westerly building. We'll be grading that slope back in order to bring that building, the entry for that building down to an elevation close to the existing parking lot. The material that's excavated from there will be spread on the upper area. There's not going to be, because of the material on this site, we will need to comply with all the DEC regulations regarding grading and regarding any exposed areas. They'll, I'm sure, have requirements for capping it with so many feet of clean material. Again, those are requirements that we have to go through with the DEC.
So we can still have significant changes to this plan depending on their requirements.
It's quite possible. I think we wanted to show you if, based on what the owner would like to do right now, what could happen here. You know, right now we show 30 RV sites. You know, could that be knocked down to 20? You know, could it be kicked up to 30? You know, I think those numbers would have to get refined once we had a buy-in from the DEC, and we know the requirements that the DEC is going to put on us for site planning, then we can properly lay out a plan.
So I have another question for you.
Yeah.
So you fit in 30, obviously, for probably a financial model or so forth. My question to you is that your typical campground spacing for RVs? Because I've been to campgrounds that seem to be, there's a bit, to me, it appears to be a larger space than what this almost looks like you're parking them in a RV parking lot, in my opinion. So how did you come up with the spacing between them, and how was that all determined? Was it just
We
by,
tried
I had
to-
to get 30 in, or was it determined by?
It was, we tried to put enough space between them to have a picnic table and maybe a grill. You know, I know, I drive up quite a bit up to the North Country, and on many of these rural roads, as you get up into that area, there are these RV camps where that are seasonal, and they are spread out more. You know, I think that's something we'd have to review, whether people, we don't expect that people are coming here to enjoy to sit on lawn chairs outside their camper and enjoy the great outdoors. More than likely, they're coming here, they're using their camper as a living space, but many of them, or probably a majority, will have boats in the marina, and they'll be out on the water and enjoying their boats. And
So that's why they're so,
Well-
I'll use the word tight, it's just my opinion.
yeah, and and as we review this, and we work through this with the owner, that may be a determination we make too, and that's why I say I think the final number on these will take some refining.
And the public I saw you recommended a public bathroom someplace, proposed restrooms. Is that gonna have shower facilities and all the rest of the stuff too, or?
Yes, that would be similar facility to what you find the Shumway Marine has bathroom facilities for the people that rent slips that are actually located in their building, and the renters can access that through a keypad door, and it would be similar to that. Their restrooms, shower, and sometimes they put in laundry facilities, a washing machine and a dryer that are available for the use. What's going to be in there?
Yeah, I guess I'm comparing it to a campground, which
Yeah.
this is and is not a campground. But when you go into these campgrounds, I see people have guests and they put up tents.
Yeah, no tents,
So that's where I'm getting at.
no,
You're designing this specifically for vehicles,
definitely no tent
and
camping.
it's not really a campground. It's more,
It's an RV park.
okay.
Yeah, there will be no tent camping permitted.
What are the wells monitoring at this moment? Yeah, I'm sorry.
Those wells currently, there is no sampling being done. I know those wells were put in many years ago as part of the, brownfield, but, I don't think there's a current sampling program going on.
All right, thank you.
So I think what you're really looking for tonight is, does the layout look like something that's workable?
The layout or the uses that we're proposing look like something that the planning board would be willing to entertain, given that we have some significant hoops to jump through before we can come back to you with site plans.
So maybe if you could explain a little bit, like, it's hard for me to see, where would the traffic be coming in and going out, egress and so, where would all that happen? And then, in addition, have you given consideration to what the residents are gonna see from, as far as how much light they're gonna see, what, they're gonna see the back of a building, I take it, right?
That's-
And have you taken that into consideration?
And that was the reason, for placing that building up there is, that was going to be a screen. So they're not looking at RVs on pads, they're looking at, and again, right now, there's a berm that's been constructed up there. There would definitely be some landscaping enhancements. We've kept it, I believe it's about 60 feet from the property line. We've kept a large open area, again, for screening, specifically for screening that from the adjoining residential neighbors.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but Michelle, did this come before us before as a sketch plan by a different developer?
Yeah, Bernie, you're correct. It did come back, I believe, twice
Twice.
before us.
Is it possible to get the notes from those sessions? Do we have any?
I tried to look for them.
Yeah. I was, because I do remember something about the berm, and I do remember the residents, and then it was recommended to those folks to make sure they talk to those residents. Has anybody had any conversations with them or so forth?
Not at this point, no. Again, we're only at sketch plan. We're just basically got feelers out there. It certainly, as this moves along, as, if this, moves to, site plan and comes back before you, there would be the necessary contacts, meeting with neighbors. That could all be, addressed and I think we border, this project borders, I believe, 4 lots on the, existing subdivision that would back up, their lots back up to this, and, that would be addressed.
Well, there's the noise, there's the light that would have to be addressed. But
Right.
then could you also explain how the traffic's gonna flow? Because,
Right.
are there gonna, I'm just gonna ask the question. So, it's hard to tell from this where the roads would take them in and out. I'd have to see the,
Yeah, that's all it is, it's just the one entrance off Marina,
but how far does this go? Right through here?
it just stops, so you end up back in the Marina still. Can't get out over on Timrod, I don't see a connection.
And I apologize, are those paved roads or are those,
Well, the roads, the existing roads are paved roads, back, and, the parking places that sit, just above the, yacht basin are paved, and, this would extend east off of that paved area.
yeah, I mean, so in order for placement, it would be nice to understand, clearly understand how that traffic is gonna flow.
Yeah.
But then does anybody have any other comments regarding
Nope.
where it's placed and so forth?
We did a subdivision on this for some odd reason, and I can't remember what. Do you? We did subdivision up here.
I don't recall that.
this is on what's known as Lot 10, which has an address of 50 Marina Drive.
And then there are currently 3 plots over here, right, that we're dealing with?
I don't believe so. This is 50 Marina Drive, which is, a grassy area
Yeah, no,
that
I'm
is
looking
just
at,
behind Timrod.
he's got approximate lot line, lot 1, approximate lot line 2, and then I am assuming that this is lot 3?
So
Is that
when
correct?
when I looked it up, it didn't show that it was 2 separate lots.
No,
You have a dotted line going through it?
the
I'm looking at a
dotted
map.
line going through it is a lot, is a town lot line. It's not a property line. If you look at the overall plan that I provided, there are 2 separate parcels out on Pattonwood Drive, which are lot 6, noted as lot 6 and 7. Those are 2 separate lots. This is lot 10, and the marine basin and store and restaurant all fall on what's known as lot 11. So as I look at this, there are 4, lot 8, so there are 5 lots that make up the property.
So I know you're looking for input.
Yeah.
And that's strictly what a sketch conference is. When you looked at this whole plot of land, was there a reason why you didn't try to look at a plot that was farther away from the residents that are on Timrod? I mean, there's a lot of open land. Is there a reason? I'm just curious
Well,
as to how
there-
it was chosen.
They're really, the biggest plot of open land is this lot 10. Half of lot 10 is currently used for boat storage, winter boat storage. And lot, what they call it here, lot 11 are all of the marina facilities. The 2 frontage lots are not appropriate for fronting on Pattonwood Drive. This was the ideal location. We're dealing with 4.
So when we go on I just want to make sure they hear me, our Arundequoit GIS system,
Yeah.
this is lot 50.
Right.
This is where the RV park
That's correct, yes.
was, where he had it.
Yep,
Okay, so when you say these other lots,
these are,
these are not involved.
no, they're not involved.
It's just
Just
lot,
lot,
just lot 50.
just lot 50, and that had the area and was the best location.
Just lot 50. See what I mean? So 50 is back here. This is 50, and then here's Timrod, and here's where the RV park is.
Okay. And did we do a subdivision on this?
I don't remember. I'd have to look back at the notes.
And
So-
still the Conrails, and then you can go ahead with,
Okay, I just want to show everybody.
or the railroad track is
here's
still a
lot
right-of-way,
50.
correct?
No, the railroad track, that property
here's your Pattonwood
was
Drive.
purchased by
Yeah.
Here's Timrod.
Shumway
Here's the lot
Marine,
50
Ontario
in the back.
Properties, and then it was split.
So here.
This is where we did the,
A portion was split, went to the Rochester
why
Yacht
couldn't
Club,
that be
and
used?
a portion went to Shumway Marine.
I asked why.
yeah,
though.
this is where I think we did
Oh,
the subdivision a while ago.
Yeah.
All right. That
Right.
sounded familiar.
But no, the railroad right-of-way through there no longer exists.
And then here's Timrod.
My advice, go talk to these neighbors before you get this too solid,
Definitely, yeah.
all right?
Where,
Because they may not like it and may object for no other reason than they don't want it there. But somebody may have some
Hold
other
on, guys.
idea that
We got a couple of conversations going on. Hold on.
Yeah,
okay.
and certainly we want to get their input, and if there are things that we can do that make this more palatable to the neighbors, screening. I mean, we're not proposing, or I can't imagine we're proposing any lighting over and above what currently is on the site, that, we definitely want to get input.
But they're probably gonna want, like, non-deciduous trees, right?
Yeah.
Because if you're gonna have storage during the winter,
Right.
So,
And,
I want
and
to
it,
get to the, you made a comment that you said the other plots on Patton weren't appropriate. Why is that?
well, they're road frontage lots, they're right out on Pattonwood Drive. It's a main entry into the town of Arundecoit. It's, it just, for storage buildings and an RV camping site, it just doesn't,
Well,
it doesn't feel appropriate.
when it comes to noise and light and so forth, I think the majority of that's gonna come from when the RVs are there. I didn't say anything about the storage being back there, move all the boat storage and the storage containers back there and move the RVs someplace else. I'm just asking why that wasn't considered.
Or what would be the option of doing the two storages closer to the houses and move the RVs forward?
That's what I was,
And that's, yeah, I mean.
that's
there
what
are-
kind of input you're looking for, right?
Yeah,
So-
I mean, and the reason that we have that one large storage building closest to the residence was, it's not a real tall structure, but it's a tall enough structure so that it's going to, number one, cut down from the noise, and probably even lessen the noise that the residents currently get from that area.
Yeah, I know you're just looking for input, but I'm
Yeah.
thinking you could move the RV to someplace else and put proper landscaping so it looks appealing from the road. I mean, I just don't understand why, I think your biggest issue is gonna come with how close it is to the residents.
And once we've got to that stage of the project, we will get input and get the necessary coordination. And when we come back to you with site plans, there'll certainly be a public hearing, and we hopefully will have done our homework and address their concerns.
So your work with the DEC is only on that one particular plot, or is it the whole thing?
The entire area where we're proposing this development.
Right, so you won't have any input if you can move it, because you're not talking to the DEC.
Well, the DEC, the brownfield extends further than where we're proposing this. So the brownfield, currently where the boats are stored in the wintertime, is also in the brownfield site. Any development out on, any future development that occurs out on Pattonwood Drive would bring some DEC involvement, determining materials and so forth. So really, a lot of this site, as is with Voyager Marine and a lot of those areas down along the river,
Right, and maybe, I'm just trying to understand why it's placed where it is, and why it couldn't be in any of the other areas, because you're looking for input, and I'm thinking, is it because of, the kind of soil that it's on, or is it, or is
No.
it because of how you maneuver around a marina? I'm not an expert at that, so
yeah.
I don't know.
Maneuvering, proximity to the basin.
I think it's reasonable to push it further back because if future development was to occur in this area adjacent to Marina Drive, we might have a higher and better use more closely associated with the road there. So, when they built Marina Drive with the sidewalks and things like that, they were probably thinking that there was going to be a more intense use, especially when you consider the comp plan and what they have in the comp plan for this area. The types of uses, definitely not this. So if this was pushed back, it still allows that type of development to occur at some point in the future.
But this is not anything that can't be torn up and put a development in,
I hear that,
Yeah, it's not, it's pretty,
but it does
Minimal.
make it easier and more inviting for future development
if they
if
were
you're
putting
not
curbs
removing
in
some.
and roads in and all that kind of stuff, that, I could understand that, but it's just, he's looking for input, so I'm just providing input.
We understand, yeah.
I don't know how the rest of the board feels, but, looking at it, that's what sticks out to me. John, you got some comments?
Yeah, Greg, I just had some thoughts here. Looking at your profile on the second page, the storage units, we'll call it, are gonna be about 360 feet long. And the roofs are gonna be about 45 feet higher than the residents on Timrod. I'm wondering if you could rotate the orientation of those buildings clockwise, and then instead of having two large buildings, go with four and break them up in half. So the residents on that side are just seeing the narrow side of the building instead of a 360-foot long wall.
I'm sure we could. The intent of putting the long wall there was again to screen them from noise, screen them from RV units, provide something that enhanced their privacy. I mean, in essence, it's a 30-foot high fence. Again, landscaping is certainly, you need something to break that up, which landscaping would do, but that was the intent of placing the building like that.
And you can still do that, like that berm that you have there, what we'll call in the northeast corner, that's about 4 feet tall. You could extend that further south, stagger some year-round trees with some deciduous, throw some fencing in there to block it up. But I think if the residents on Timrod were just looking at the ends of the building instead of the whole facing of it, I think that might be more palatable to them, even if you're dressing up those ends to look a little more residential with some, faux glass or something like that, because you already have the gable roofs, it looks like, or that's what you're showing.
We're certainly willing to look at anything, and that's why we're just here to get comments. I mean, what we want to leave this with is that these uses are, in some form, would be entertained by the planning board. We don't want to spend a lot of money, go through a lot of design, and then come back and, find out that there's no way we're going to permit this type of use on the site or that type of.
I guess that leads to a good question. So first off, I mean, from an opinion-wise, I don't know how the rest of the board feels, but I think it's it's okay. I think it's a very great concept. I mean, what you were saying about the people that are probably going to rent, they're going to use it for their boat, the storage and everything else. I think that's all a great concept. I just have concerns about where it's placed, and I think if you had more input from the residents, it would make a stronger case. But now, as far as can you do it? So I read all those regulations, and maybe that's why you're here with us tonight, is this permittable, or do you see any issues? Yeah, it's a long document. And it only speaks to RVs, recreational vehicles. It doesn't speak to RVs per se, but.
So I would note for the board, the planning board outside of, if they were coming to you for a special permit or looking for rezoning or looking for a use variance, it's actually typically outside of the planning board's purview to determine whether or not a use is appropriate or not, but rather the physical infrastructure that's being proposed on the site itself. So, well, I will certainly look to ensure that it is in compliance with the use. The planning board's purview typically does not extend to whether or not the use is appropriate, but rather is the site plan, is there ingress and egress? Is there proper lighting? Is there sufficient room for the RVs to maneuver, right? Those are more in line with the planning board's purview.
Right, and that's why I want to make sure you understand that part too. So
Yes.
you asked, can you build it here? Well, it's not just, we usually by the time it gets to us, all those things are figured out.
Right, and we understand, and, we've looked at the zoning. We think, the storage is specifically mentioned in the code, and we don't see code-wise an issue with that, but we'd be looking for a determination from the town on whether the RV camping is permitted, whether it would require a special use permit, or whether it can be permitted by the planning board. But, that's part of the input we'd like to get back from this, would be a determination on those uses.
So does the board have any other comments? Because I think until it gets to like final stages, we won't know what the walk paths are, we won't know
Right.
any of that.
Yeah, and that,
So it's hard to speak to it.
I just want to echo what Bernie had said about it's incredibly dense, right? Densely packed. The RVs appear to be very close to one another, and there's at least little to no infrastructure on the site plan to, at least at the sketch plan level, to support that type of dense use. There's no pedestrian areas, there's no green space there, and I understand the point that you're making about the the rationale behind folks being here is the being adjacent to their boats, but they're still going to spend a reasonable amount of time in these RVs, and I do think it's reasonable to have some space outside to grill or eat or picnic,
That's what we wanna
and
hear.
not be it's hard for me to tell, but it looks incredibly like tight quarters. And another consideration I have is if I were staying here and I went grocery shopping and came back to my RV, I wouldn't want to park over here and then haul my groceries over to my RV on the other side of a storage unit.
That's what the golf carts are for.
And my concern is that, people will do what's most convenient, and over time, I think you may have a situation where people are finding areas to, park their cars over here, and does that leave room for people to navigate around? I think it might be reasonable to consider if you need at least one parking space near each of these RVs. I don't know what the population or the age population is for folks who are doing this, but if there's mobility needs or whatever, it's just not reasonable to expect them to do that. So I think that should definitely be considered, or even if they had a pet and wanted to take the pet outside, it just doesn't seem like it seems like in between two storage units on essentially what sounds like it could be a gravel lot. It doesn't sound enticing to me, aside from the idea of proximity to my boat. So I think that that's something to consider.
So can I build on something else that Brad just said? So you have another storage unit that's gonna kind of block the view of all the RVs from the water.
Yeah,
Right, wouldn't it make more sense to put the storage kind of like what John said, or some other different configuration so that you get that appealing look along with everything else? He said, he's looking for input, so.
Yeah, and
I mean, yeah.
well, I'll go back to our client, we'll discuss these points, and, I think if it looks like with some modifications, we can come up with arrangements with working with the neighbors, we can come up with a site plan, then the next decision's gonna be, do we wanna move forward with the DEC and start that process, which is not gonna happen overnight. We'll discuss all of this. I think, when I've heard everything, rearranging, but I think we've gotta, just take this and wait for some input on any code issues.
Right.
And then, make our next move.
So anybody, go ahead.
No, I'm sure, just like the boaters, many of the boats and slips, there's people living on those boats part-time in the summer. There are trash receptacles, there are, places where they can take their trash, and dispose of it. And those are all things, if there's gonna be a dumpster up in this area on a site plan, we'd have to show a dumpster and a dumpster enclosure and make sure the truck can get to the dumpster and dump it, and those types of things would be all part of a site plan, submittal.
And since you're gonna have the storage open all the time, you gotta show the snow removal and everything else too, where you're gonna put the snow if you're building there and everything.
Well,
So-
yeah, the storage would be,
You just gotta depict it on your map is all I'm saying.
Yeah, yeah.
When you get to that point.
Can I ask another question on, and I don't know how to describe this, what is this right here? And I'm looking at what would be the south part of the property against Marine Drive. Is that a new building? What is that?
That could be a potential storage building. We showed a smaller building on that location. It's nothing more than just a similar type individual unit.
So it's
boat
not
storage.
pre-existing, it's a
No,
proposed
no, it's shaded,
building.
that's a proposed, that would be a proposed. But that
Alright.
would just be a storage building.
That's not part of this application, though.
Well, it's
Or-
part of this sketch plan, when we come in, it may or may not be part of a site plan application when we come back into it.
And are you guys gonna have some way to check these guests in, or what are we doing here?
Check,
They're gonna be an office, I guess.
well, there is an office right now in the marina.
And that's the way that these campers, you,
Well,
manage
they're
your-
they're not coming in for a weekend, they're renting by a season. So if you want your RV here, you're gonna sign just like the boats and the boat slips, they sign a lease that begins on a certain date and ends on a certain date. And, you know,
so they'll have access to this from March 1st till September 30th or whatever.
some date,
So this will not be transient population.
no. This is not, this is not somebody, it's not a KOA campground where somebody comes in on a weekend and wants a campsite.
And there's no thought to any other ancillary buildings that will provide sundries targeted toward camping?
No, there's,
No wood, no anything like that?
there's a grocery store across the street, there's a very nice restaurant right on site, several restaurants right across the street. There's a lot of facilities currently taken advantage of by the boaters that have space here. And those would provide the same facilities to people in RV. And for the most part, they're all walkable.
Are there voters interested now?
There has been interest in this. He's had requests. He's got a list of people that would be interested. It's not something that's been just a thought. This is, people have approached them regarding providing something like this. So, this is a service that has been asked for and, they'd like to consider.
And then the other building would be the proposed yacht house, and what is that?
That is a boathouse, and I'm not,
Like
that's,
for crew? What?
I don't know. I was asked to show it on here. If that would require, some kind of a building permit or something, I'm currently not involved with that project.
Yeah, and it's also in the city, not in
It's
Arundecoit.
not in the town of Arundecoit, no.
Right. Okay. And you guys have reached out to the city on any of this, or not?
We have not, at this point, it's not within, we're not proposing anything within the city of Rochester.
Is it within 300 feet of it?
Probably would be, I mean, it
So they're gonna have
ultimately
it, there'll be an interested
what-
party, especially for
As
seeker.
part of seeker,
Yeah.
sure.
A consideration that I have that hasn't been brought up yet is these storage units. I would imagine they're probably made out of corrugated steel or something like that. And the RVs are probably made out of metal. I mean, and there's a lot of people in here, and there's nothing to deafen any sound whatsoever. There's a concern already about sound, and then it seems like everything that's in here and in this proximity is going to do nothing to absorb any of the sound that's created. And with this layout, may amplify sounds that are created.
I'm not a sound engineer, so I can't
Me neither am I, but I'm just.
I can't speak to that.
Yeah.
I'm not so sure I'd run to the neighbors to say, oh, these storage units are gonna muffle the sound for ya. It sounds like it's gonna be a party place when you put it that way.
Potential of 30 campfires every night.
So,
So that was, town staff did, talk about this briefly at our development review committee meeting. And one thing that came up is utilities. How is the sewer? So you need to show that,
Yeah, we did,
the electric.
we did show a concept, but yes, we will address how the sewer will be connected, how the water will be provided. There's already electric infrastructure in the area, that would have to be basically through RG&E.
Right,
But
didn't he already install something?
there is some electric installed, actually,
Okay.
there's some water installed in that area.
I gotcha, okay.
But,
And then the other thing is, when you do come back, just a suggestion is to show, the RV site
yes, we.
with,
we
sometimes
do a-
they come with a picnic table, sometimes they come with a campfire.
We do a blow-up of, as part of the, you know, if we're gonna, look at the arrangement, but ultimately, whatever we decide, or whatever the owner decides on for spacing, we detail all of that out, and if it's gonna have a picnic table and a fire pit, or you know, a picnic table, or, you know,
Right.
whatever we have, we detail it on a plan.
That would be great. And
Yeah.
then the other thing is that sometimes some of these larger, I believe they're Class A's,
Yes,
motorhomes, have a tow behind vehicle. If, that would accommodate room for that tow behind vehicle.
yeah, and that
As
be.
well.
Yeah,
Just a suggestion.
yeah.
From
but,
town
Yeah,
staff.
we're not intending to park vehicles up there, you know, those would be, they may tow it behind, but it would be parked in one of the parking spots. But we would address that.
Perfect.
So Greg and Michelle, I don't know, is there anything as far as from the state what's required for a campground or an RV park that, you know, obviously you were mentioning fires, and I'm thinking, as tight as this looks, I'd hate to think of what kind of a fire could spread, right? And
So
is there
this-
certain regulations that are in place for that?
Correct.
I don't know, we've never had a campground come to us before, or an RV
So,
park.
right. So this has been, as you mentioned earlier, been before the board. And, previous staff has, reached out to, Chris Kastman from the Monroe County Department of Health, which would require, an application to operate a campground at the property. Current he did say that a permit is required for that from Monroe County Department of Health, as well as, the New York State DEC had come back and said that they would not approve the uses of our RV park until remediation, to restricted residential has been achieved. So there are two other, agencies that would be involved, along with the planning board, in regards to the approvals.
But if you could bring with us whatever these regulations or requirements are for campgrounds, it would be helpful. So, and if we could dig those up.
Yeah.
Any other comments?
If I may, to the chair, I want to amend my prior statement that typically uses are outside the purview of the planning board, but looking at section 235-157, I'd like to draw the planning board's attention to, within the River Harbor District, there are considerations of harmony of use that would be before the planning board as part of a site plan approval. So I do want to amend, although this particular use, whether or not it's permitted under the code, would go to the code enforcement officer, the zoning code enforcement officer. The use is in the River District, River Harbor District, can be something and is required to be something that the planning board looks at as part of site plan.
Thank you. Thank you for the clarification. Any other comments that, he's looking for input, so
Yeah,
now's the time.
yeah, if there's gonna be fencing or any of that kind of stuff to limit access,
Yeah.
probably
We-
wanna see where,
With
how that
fencing,
works.
landscaping,
Lighting on the
Site-
building, you know, if you're
site
gonna-
plans would include all of those features, typically like we would do on any site plan that came before you.
right, and then the storage buildings are probably gonna have some type of lighting associated with
Right,
them,
there'll be
whether it's inside or,
architecturals and
yeah.
elevations for all the buildings, colors, the whole deal.
And is this property on the brownfield list yet
It's,
Thought it was.
funding?
I don't know that, I can't answer that question, I am just on the periphery of brownfield requirements, we're relying on the engineering consultant, the environmental consultant, and the attorneys that are handling that.
Yeah, because that could make the rest of the project look cheap by
Somebody,
comparison.
Well, yeah, and I know, we're looking at uses that
Are compatible
are
with,
compatible with what's there. Certainly, if you start talking about digging basements and residential on a brownfield like this, your restrictions get very onerous. So that's why some of these uses are a little easier to, work with on a brownfield site.
somebody mentioned, waste. I think we do need some kind of toter storage or dumpster enclosure or something. We've required that for much less dense projects.
I'm sure it's needed, and we would,
Yeah.
typically, that's something we would get to on a site plan.
And I do think some kind of lighting is going to be necessary. You know, particularly in the winter when the RVs are not there and people are trying to access, maybe trying to access the storage units or something like that. Also, if we don't install some type of lighting that is, you know, dark sky compliant or, you know, palatable to the neighbors, then I think they'll just start doing it themselves out of necessity, and then we'll have a patchwork of lighting that may be excessive. So if we just go ahead and do it now, we could have a little bit
Yeah.
more control.
We realize, yeah, there would, if there's any lighting proposed, those would be shown on the site plan.
I know you were looking for input. Did we give you enough, or,
Yes, I think I've heard plenty.
okay? So, one more time before he goes, this is, you know, he's asking for input, so now's the time. Anything from staff, any? No more? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for
There's-
bringing it to us this way.
There's no reason that I would need to be at planning board meeting next week, or do you want to
No,
strictly?
well, if you
Yeah.
don't have
But
anything
I-
else going, it's always
but
entertaining.
you can do a sketch plan anytime you want to bring it forward.
Yeah, I think it's, you know, we'll certainly keep you advised, but I think we need to discuss this and see what our next step is.
Yep.
Well, thanks
I
for
encourage
including the
talking to the
neighbors.
neighbors, if anything.
Yeah,
you know, 'cause that's
that's-
where the most of the
We will.
input's gonna come.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Next case.
Yes, sorry. Next case is case number PB 2025.09.01. Request by Land Tech Surveying and Planning, acting as agent for Eldros Properties LLC for preliminary final site plan approval for the construction of 3 buildings totaling 6 units with attached garages and site-related improvements on premises 5324, 5334, 5340 St. Paul Boulevard, and 8 Second Street in the C Business District.
Good evening, everyone. I'm John Sharaba with Land Tech. I'm here on behalf of the applicant. Sal, the owner and operator of this, is here tonight, can speak to anything that I cannot. The last time we were here was back on September 15th. We had a pretty good discussion about the site plan. I think we really got most of the issues related to site plan done, but I think we kind of stopped and kind of stubbed our toe on the architectural. So since then, we've updated the architectural plans. Sal and the designer have gone into great detail. We have boards here showing color samples of the roof, siding, trim. We can get into those details for you. We can also leave these boards here for the board tonight, or leave them in the town hall even for the next 2 weeks, if so desired. Going back in time, what we talked about, site plan issues on the 15th, were relatively small. I think Mr. Catarino brought up the fact that, you know, we'd like to see a landscaping plan showing some outdoor patios and, for each unit, just so we have a sense of what's going on there. We've done that in the current plan set. Another topic was, what about landscaping? We're proposing street trees, so we have 11 maple trees that we're proposing on this residential project along both roads, and we also have some other landscaping shown. Again, knowing this is a residential project, it's not commercial, even though we're zoned commercial. We did get a special permit to develop this residential project. Going back, I think it's important. I think there's some, you know, looking at some information provided by the public. I think I'd just like to clarify a couple topics. The neighbors have submitted plans and have some concerns that this project is too large. As the board knows, this project's only 3/10 of an acre in size and consists of 4 lots. We're reducing the lot count to 3, and the fact that we're asking for a residential project versus something in this commercial zone, which could be 4 restaurants, could be 4 pharmacies, could be a funeral home, could be numerous things in a commercial, that would impact, I think, the neighborhood greatly. Another fact that it comes up at every meeting with the public are parking spots. You know, everyone's concerned about parking down there. It's a very dense area of town. We understand that. We have 3 buildings, 6 units, and we have 16 parking spots. It's important to note that each of these units each building is only 2-bedroom. So we have a total of 6 units with 2 bedrooms. So I think we have more parking than we need. We have visitor parking, we have garage parking, we have in front of garage parking, so I think we're good there. And with that, people ask where people are gonna store their stuff. We did reduce the footprints from 3 bedrooms, so there's some storage units in some of those units within the building, and there's room within the garages to store, items as well. Another item that keeps coming up, it seems, are these subsidized housing. This is not a Section 8 housing. This is a private development. The unit cost is gonna be based on what it costs to build, and we're thinking somewhere between $1,800 and $2,200 a month would be the rent in that range. And, and then there's concerns about traffic and access for emergency vehicles down these roads. So both Somerville Drive and Second Street are town roads. St. Paul Boulevard is a county road, and we are not proposing any negative impacts to those areas. We're proposing, like I said, off-street parking, visitor parking, snow storage within our site. So I think we're really good there with the site plan elements. I know Alan was mentioning landscaping, we can get into that. But I think where we really ended the last meeting was the architecturals and how they look. So if you like, I can bring each building around to you and decide and show you.
What I think
know
would be
they're small.
helpful is if we go through, we had a bunch of bullets, we can go through those bullets, but I
Sure.
wanted to go back, since you brought up the comments by the residents. So the one that kind of caught my attention, I couldn't remember why, was because there was no basement, they felt they're gonna use the garage for storage, and that's gonna take away parking, which, you know, I guess could happen. But what was the reason why there's no basement? I just don't remember.
Well, people, those same people will say, it's wet down there, and so we're really close to the floodplain down there. So that's just the owner wants to minimize negative issues. He doesn't want sump pumps running 24/7, so there's a slab on grade construction. And I think there will be storage within the garage. I mean, the garages are bigger than just the size of the car, so we have room there.
So you're gonna put some kind of design into the garage to allow for,
Yeah, there'll be, a bicycle, a paddle board. I mean, there'll be some room in there.
okay. It's just because you brought up the residents.
no,
It stuck in my mind.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember the reason.
Bernie, I don't have those other bullets in front of me, so I'd be like,
Sure.
like to go down
So
through 'em.
what we had from the last meeting on the 15th was submit color elevations showing all other sides of the structures besides just the front elevations, which I think you're going to walk us through that.
Yes.
Okay. Submit architectural renderings for each unit. Look into adding some landscaping to the plan. Explain how snow storage will be mitigated. Suggested using a darker color for the garage doors to mitigate the largeness of the doors. And suggested added patios, fencing, screening, and/or buffering for neighboring parcels. Are you gonna cover all of those in your
Yes, I
walkthrough?
can.
John, do we have any of that information in our packets?
I don't believe we've had time since the last meeting to submit these. The architectural drawings just came in. And I think the only thing that was changed on my site plan was the landscaping, which I can walk through. And
So that hasn't also been available for the public to look at either, right?
I don't believe so, but I can forward those digitally to Michelle tomorrow. I don't know if did I give you the updated site plan, Michelle?
We-
Okay.
Yeah, we didn't get it in the package.
It's not that one called final plan?
Joe, that's the final plat.
Final plat?
That's the final plat.
That hasn't changed. So I guess, going back to what the bullet points were, spoke to one page of our plan, which is the landscaping plan. Talked about, the parking and talked about landscaping. We also added snow storage and things like that, so it's hard to see, but we have one building here that fronts on Somerville Drive. We have adequate parking for one car in the garage, one car out, and we have a visitor parking on each side of that.
I think it might be, I don't know, Michelle, how we can do this. He's gonna need a microphone, but
Oh, sorry.
do you
Well,
think it's better we go down and look? Because I don't think we're gonna be able to see this. It's-
Yeah, I mean, this
we
is
don't have
pretty
copies.
informal.
Well, I can,
informal,
let me
so-
just go over it real quick, and then you can come through, because it's so basic. So we have, and it's, yeah, you probably can't see, we have adequate parking, we have 16 spots. We have, on this unit, we have 2 off-street parking spots here, and on this side, we have 2 on, Second Street. We don't have any on the Somerville, on the St. Paul side, because adding another curb cut to St. Paul Boulevard, or someone backing out into St. Paul Boulevard is really not a safe situation. And then what we've done is we've put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 maple trees throughout the project along the frontage, to break up the buildings on the exterior. And on each side of the driveway, we show areas of snow storage. So our goals are not to negatively impact the snow removal from, or push snow onto the right-of-ways of the public roads. We have places that we can store it on site. And then we also show, going back to Mr. Catarino, we showed patios that go in the back of each unit, so we can show that where those recreational areas are. So that's really a simplistic view of this plan. I could just swing it by you, and if you, just to show you real quick, or if you wanna come up.
So the entire landscaping consists of 12 maple trees?
There's some additional plantings that we show.
Yeah, I think we're probably better off
I think
going
we're probably
down
better
there.
off going down there, and why don't we take a look? And be near a microphone,
Sure.
so if everybody can just. Normally it's, we're in the, yeah, the table.
Well, I might as well step in.
Just make sure you address everything in the microphone while you're there, please.
So again, going back to what we're asking for, these are the maple trees, the larger symbols that surround the outside. They're speculated here. And then we show some other perimeter plantings on the outside. These are more bushes that are shown here, and then those are swamp rose shrubs. Not familiar with that, but that's a salt tolerant tree put on by our landscape architect.
They all comply with the list.
I'll have to double check the list, but we'll make sure that they do. And then the hatch areas are areas where we can put snow, show those areas. These are the patio areas clearly noted. And I guess the other thing we should point out, we're proposing a 6-foot board-on-board fence along our north property line. That was consistent with the plan from the start. So those are really the only thing that has changed on the plan.
Did we get an elevation of this?
Yes.
Do you guys to show to us now, or? Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so
Any sidewalks?
Or anything more, yeah, that's before we
no sidewalk proposed.
Good question.
We have the sidewalks on St. Paul only. Here, I got them. Yeah,
So the sidewalk is on which side of the sidewalk?
sidewalks right here.
Guys, in the mic,
Yeah, so the only sidewalk proposed is the existing, there is no proposed sidewalks.
here's an
The only-
extra one.
Oh, that'd be good. So, there are no proposed sidewalks as part of this project. The only sidewalk out there is the one along St. Paul Boulevard.
So from town staff, I know we talked about this property right here.
Yep. So I think what we have to do is, I'm gonna put that in an easement, because I understand the intent of the code. The fact that you don't want neighbors fighting over, this is
two
holistically
f-
owned.
well-
I can't separate them because of so close to the building. Or
Oh,
we
but this is all gonna be one.
No, it's not.
No, it's gonna be 3 different
Different
parcels.
owners. So we're gonna have an
Okay.
easement over that.
Well, but the zoning code says you have to have 2 feet setback from the property line.
Okay,
That's not an easement, it'd have to be a variance.
okay. Well, then we'll have to talk about that.
Or put a little 4-foot berm in there,
Yep,
little planter. Extra green space.
yep. We'll figure out something. All right. That's what happens when you try to,
These parking spots right
Yeah,
here.
it came up
are
at the
too
last
close.
meeting, yeah.
no, you're saying they're too close to this property line. So she wants them
okay.
like this, which we can do. I just can't move them so close to the house, but we'll figure it out. I'll make sure we meet code. That's the issue she's talking about. I was barely just gonna put an easement over here and put a cross-access easement, because the code is written so that we don't negatively affect people, but it is code, so we have to adhere to it. So going to the elevations, and I'm not the probably the best person to speak to this, but we'll try. So this, as requested by the board, this is Building A. We have all three elevations. This is Second Street, and you can look at them. This is, so you take a look at that, and that's Building A. I gotta make sure I have A here. So these are the colors associated with A. This is the roof. This is the siding, and this is the garage.
Oh, so you're using different, that's nice. to
Everything's,
use different colors.
Sal and the designer want everything to be different.
Yeah, I
for
think
each
that's
building.
great. Yeah,
Yeah.
it breaks it up.
Yep. So that's Building A. I think it looks great.
Does this address, I think you brought this up, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep, we
Okay.
darkened the doors. Someone can flip over to.
Before you do that, could you, Shelley, I think you pointed out, why do those windows look like that?
Bathroom.
Ones up,
Yeah. Probably bathroom window on that side.
okay.
So this is more of a blue nautical feel, so, this is Building B. This has the most frontage on St. Paul Boulevard. So, we have gray for the siding, a blue for the siding above with a shake on it, and a darker, garage door. Also, we added shutters to this plan. I think I mentioned before. So I think we're in keeping with what the board requested on that.
Yeah, I think that's really nice.
And the stonework goes well.
Yeah, and a little stone. The stone is over here as well. Sorry, thank you.
Yep.
And
It's a nice.
John, the windows,
There'll be white trim with
Okay.
glazing.
how about the, I'm calling it buttons, I know that.
They'll be, the mullions will be on there as we show.
Okay. So that'll be 6 over the 1.
Yeah, I don't know why that one's glazed out. That might be a bathroom window. I don't know. But they, yeah,
Yeah, they should
They'll
be
be-
the same.
And will A be the same as that or
No.
not?
Maybe they got a discount on
you
it.
can go back to A if you want.
No, I just, I
They're
don't
very
need
unique, so I
to,
couldn't tell you if they are or not.
so
there are no
these are all
mullions
gonna
on.
be,
Yeah.
all right.
So go back to that for a second. What are these? These are back doors?
That's a door.
That's a door.
Back
Door,
door.
front door. This is coming off of Second Street.
Oh, okay.
Yep. This is the back, going on the patios, and this is what it will look like from St. Paul.
And on the back, the egress is the sliding doors.
Correct.
All right.
And that's unit A. So that you won't even see that from St. Paul, right?
No,
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, excuse me, yeah. So that's cool.
We're all gonna look for that window now, Shelley, that you pointed out. See what we can see.
So this is, C. And what he's doing here, I mean, you can see the quality of the print, but is always dramatically different. So we got the dark roof, we got this color, clay or whatever it's called, this, I like it, and then the darker garage doors. So those will be in white trim. Everything's gonna have white trim. This has the mullions back in it. And if we're married to the mullions on the other one, I can talk to him about that for the other building and see.
I'm not married to it,
Okay.
I just
So,
was wondering if there was an inconsistency in
yeah,
the drawing or.
he's trying to be
actually-
uniquely inconsistent. He wants them to be very different in some ways, but also,
You're not showing any lights on any of these
so,
buildings.
yeah, I'm sure there'll be like out there sconces and things like that. It's tough, we're talking,
But no overhead lights and
no overheads, there's no,
nothing in the entranceways?
there might be something.
That's
Yeah,
what
it's
I
like
thought.
all residential nature, so as we're in the C commercial district, we're focused on lighting, but it's figured that this is someone's house. They're gonna do a minimal, or no, any notes you want me to add about dark time compliant, no light spill off site, we're fine with that.
Building code might dictate lights too, so
Yeah.
you might
Yeah.
have a couple lights on some of
Yeah.
those.
I just noticed they didn't put any on there, so that's all.
Yeah.
So,
And these windows are black with the 4/4.
I
Or is
thought
that
they were
just
all,
see how they look, and then in this. You
They're
don't
white.
get the same.
Sal, you have
No,
a
the
input
color
on
of the
that?
window
On
frame.
building
Those are
C, if those are black windows or,
It's alright. I'm just curious.
yeah,
I think it's nice. I think it's nice because they're all slightly different, but they all play together.
yeah,
you can come see up front.
Right.
We're on C.
we're in C. So the inside is, where the other ones are
Yeah,
white.
this is, what address is, this is Somerville Drive? Yeah, I believe that is, windows are black.
And then these are white on the other one?
Yeah, and the rest are white windows.
And so you have one unit with a 1/1, one unit with either 6/6 or 6/1, and one unit with black 4/4. So it provides a little bit of differentiation.
Yeah, I mean, it shows windows, but the grids are showing black, but I don't know, I think, yeah, I think they're gonna be white. They're gonna match the window. Actually, I have window samples in the truck. I have big window samples. If you want me to go get them, I
I
will.
will just follow you out there. No, it's okay.
I got it.
Bring the microphone.
Yeah, we gotta
How
bring-
long will it take?
I tried to be prepared tonight.
Okay,
So, you know, like I mentioned in the presentation, if Michelle, it may be a benefit to you or the public to leave these samples here. I don't know if you wanna babysit them for 2 weeks, but we're willing to leave them if you help.
I could probably put them on my cart and wheel them upstairs in case anybody wants to come in and see them for the public.
And then, we'll send, if we don't have, the architecturals, we're just got hot off the press, and I will send an updated set of architecturals and site plan with the changes I identified, tomorrow.
Perfect. That way I can upload it to the shared drive for the board. Or would you,
and the public too, so.
Yeah, the public.
yeah, it's a public hearing. It'll be, available.
Yeah, or if they wanna come in and look at them at the town, so, right?
Right.
So that's important to point out, they can always come to the office and see them.
Absolutely.
And I hate to ask a dumb question, John, but not really. I'm an expert.
Don't stop now.
Yeah,
You
right?
asking for a bike rack? or-
No, I just wanna, remind me how these are being handled. Are they being sold or are they being rented?
They're gonna be rented,
And who's responsible for the upkeep of the?
the owner. So Sal is, his whole business, his whole career has been construction and leasing, apartments and houses. So he's very up to speed on this.
So you're gonna take care of the landscaping and the plowing and all, the sidewalk clearance and all that?
Yep.
All right.
Any other questions?
Just thanks for taking our feedback. I think it was really well taken, and I really like the differentiation of the buildings and the multiple. You've got the shake, you've got the clapboard, you've got the board and batten, different types of windows. I think it makes a big difference in the product, and I think it'll look nice.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you saying that, Brad. I can't take the credit. Sal is do all that because he had to step up and get the architect going on it. It seems like in recent times, we get to that phase in site plan where we're looking at these buildings and I'm out, you know, so so I'm glad that, Sal stepped up. I think we got a good product and, look forward to wrapping it up in a couple weeks,
No, 1 week,
1 week. Oh, that's right.
it's 1 week,
Oh, even better.
a week from tonight.
Yep.
Oh,
Great.
great.
Yeah. Michelle, do you want the larger size too? I mean, I can just leave everything here for you.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay,
If you're okay with
I'm
that.
totally fine with it.
And I'll
But I need $10 because I want the sign back.
25. Times 4.
Any other questions from Mr. Sharaba here? John, thank you.
Thank you. Have a great evening. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Any other business, Michelle?
No, sir.
I'll move that we adjourn. Do I have a second? We're adjourned.